So the highest place that you can dwell is with a contrite and humble heart. And the reason I say that is because in Isaiah 57, God says that he dwells in a high and holy place with those with a humble and contrite spirit, which means that your humility and your contrition is the key to dwell with Christ. It's the only place that you're raised up, right? And so in a similar way, if I were to take this glass vase thing and break it, if I wanted to put it back together, I would need some type of adhesive or some type of binding agent, right? And so I'm going to read two scriptures. Stick with me. Ephesians 4:3, it says, make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace, the binding agent of the peace of God, right? Colossians 2:2, it says that their hearts may be encouraged, being knit together in love. So it's love and peace that binds you back together. And so the way that you grow is through brokenness. The more broken you become, the more that God is able to knit you back together with the very fabric of his being. That's what binds you back together. That's how every space of you gets filled with the nature and the likeness of the image of Christ. And then he says, look, that you would be knit together in love so that what? You can reach the riches of the full assurance of understanding and the knowledge of God's mystery, which is Christ. And so the way that this works is it says, do not awaken love before it's time. Do not put your hand to the plow and then look back. You're not fit for the kingdom. So the only way that you can grow is to break. And as you break, you grow. But the problem is once you hit a certain checkpoint, you can never return. It's like you're being stretched out. Your capacity gets stretched out. And if you lose that love and that peace that binds it together, it deflates. You know what I'm saying? You stretch, and the only way to continue to go is to continue to go. Like once you stop at a certain point, you're dead. You know what I'm saying? And so that is the mystery of brokenness and growing in God, is that the only way to grow is to break. You know what I'm saying? Because when you break, he fills those pieces with his love and with his peace and with his spirit. But the flip side to that is once you begin to grow past a certain point, you can never return to normal. You've seen too much, you know too much, and you're too much of a liability to the kingdom of darkness at that point. And also, this world is ruined for you. You can never look at this world and go to normal things and look at them the same. You know what I mean? I used to get so frustrated with people that I knew would do like a daily devotional and be good people. They would display the fruits of the Spirit, feel close to God. And I didn't understand why I felt like I had to do so much. You know what I mean? And then once I understood this, it all started to make more sense. Because for me, I took pride in the fact that, the first couple of years I was saved, I took pride in how much I fasted, how much I prayed, right? I thought it was symbolic of my love for God. And I genuinely was just hungry for God. I didn't do it for like ulterior motives or to be seen. But then I realized, wow, this is actually symbolic of my brokenness. Like I'm this broken, you know what I mean? Like I can't do normal Christianity. I have to be all in or radical or I will fall apart. You know what I mean? And it kind of still at times bothers me because I know that I'm bound to this life. Like I truly am a slave to this thing. And if I fall back from that and go to casual Christianity, I'll fall apart and die. And it makes me think of I came for the sick. Some people aren't as sick as me. I'm a sick person. I'm a broken person. You know what I mean? And I realized that I need God at that level, or I have to be all in, or else I will backslide. But here's the thing. The other flip side to this is that if we're not careful, we think that it's us that is doing that. But the reality of it is that when you come to that place of brokenness, the grace of God empowers you to do these things. So whereas I used to actually think I was fasting because I love God, I used to think that I was praying because I love God, I used to think I was doing these things, and I was, but it wasn't me, it was the grace of God. This is what Paul says, I work harder than all of you, but not I, the grace of God that's in me. And so once I made these connections, it is such an interesting paradox when you look at it. You know what I mean? It's like I'm broken, but it is the brokenness that allows me to have strength. And in that strength, this is why Paul says, for when I'm weak, I'm strong. It's in that brokenness that gives me that strength. And it's in that strength that allows me to continue staying broken. It's this cycle that feeds itself. But the frustrating part is that many of you want to grow in Christ. But let me tell you something, that once you enter into that place, there is no going back. There is no going back. So some of you don't want to awaken that love until it's time. It's the mercy of God that has kept you from awakening that love. Because once you awaken his love in that degree, there's no going back. Like it's a scary place because you can die if you don't take care to endure. And so I share all that, because that is something that I've thought a lot about, and that is the Christian life of ultimately, being humble enough to be okay with how broken you are. Realizing, man, I really am this prideful, broken person, and just seeing the depths of how deep that goes. But then being humble enough to accept that and accept the love of God and the grace of God and continue on anyways. You know what I mean? Because I know for me, for a while, it was the pride of realizing how broken I was that broke me more into shame and condemnation, and like that pride of like, man, I really am a screwed up person, you know. But I've learned this past year to really just take it all in grace and thank God for His presence. You know what I mean?